All right, this is part two. We have constructed a front and a rear axle. We have a braking system now. So, probably going to refine this a little bit better. But when you pull up on this, I'm using a rubber bands basically, or a rubber strap to pull that back. And I'll show you how that slider works. But this control allows us to brake. And now you can use it to hold on to, and as you're leaning, it's a lean steer vehicle. So with the front and the rear axles, when you tilt, it causes those to come back, and then it self-rights itself. Now this has been done incredibly cheaply with just scraps. There's nothing fancy about here, and I don't know how much I've got into this, but it's not more than a few dollars. Maybe $50 total, and that's probably a stretch because it's almost all scrap materials. So it's probably more like $30 just for the wheels, with the most expensive and the all thread. So I've gone ahead and painted it. This is just this blue foam from Walmart from an old project I did for some boat seats, and it's just closed cell foam. So what's happening is that as it hits in there, it goes that way. Now you'll note that I've actually got these axles flipped over from what I did in part one. Originally I had these axles out here, which does give you a lot more steering capability, but the way that this vehicle is set, I'm actually just barely have clearance between there. It's within, quarter of an inch when it actually leans. So that was actually done intentionally. It's a little weaker. I'm putting entirely the strain on my bolts. And if this was to actually be a real off-road vehicle and something I was going to use extensively, I probably would still flip those other axles over and then add spacers there to control exactly how much lean steer I gave. And all you have to do is adjust that blocking. It could certainly be done with springs. The braking system, this is just a piece of plywood there, of what's that, 1/4 inch ply, and then 2 pieces of 1x2 at the bottom, and then that just builds a little slide here, and then there's just a silicone strap, basically a rubber band that wraps around this, back over around the other side, and then attaches, and then that makes it so that these lines are run through a hole drilled in there, and that way when I pull on this, then I've just put a piece of 1-inch PVC that I cut in half as a front bumper. It also reduces that friction so that as those lines run across there, when you pull on the pipe, that pulls up on there and actually pulls this other piece of PVC against the wheels to create friction and drag. Now, it's just the front and rear, 27 degrees on the pitch. You could do more or less. It's going to give you more steer or less steer. You probably don't want to go much over 30, 33, 35 degrees, I would guess. But yeah, now that's it. You sit in the vehicle, hold on to it, and once I'll probably figure out a way to put a pin in there to lock that brake line in, maybe even drill the hole through the actual pipe just to keep it from sliding up and down. So now when I pull down on this, I got brakes, and the brake, because of the way it's on that slide, that it can actually still pull evenly on both sides, even though I'm rocking this thing back and forth. So even if I'm in a steer, it's not going to cause the brakes to go there. And the way that I have that running, it pulls it up against the body of the vehicle, so I'm actually giving it pretty good strength. It does seem to stop really quickly, as quickly as you need. And that's it. That's the entire vehicle. Seems like it'll work pretty good. The handles on the side are a little unnecessary, other than to just carry it around now. And maybe I'll add a little more decorations to make it prettier for the kids. That's my vehicle.